Hey, I'm Dewan. Let's talk about this new Tyler Perry movie, Mea Culpa. Let's just get right into it. I wanted to love this movie so bad. I really did. In fact, I wanted to see it so bad that I literally watched it on my phone. So, when I saw Kelly Rowland, gorgeous as expected, wardrobe on point, hair on point, she really looked incredible. Okay, but when I saw the opening scenes with it, I was like, what's going on here? Her and her husband were in marriage counseling, and apparently he's an anesthesiologist who has an opioid addiction. So he got caught taking his own drugs. He's unemployed now and he had to go to rehab, but his family doesn't know. So this is a point of contention for this married couple. So they end up going to his mom, who allegedly has cancer. And she's like, I want to celebrate. I want to do it up big. All of this. Her kids are there. She's got two sons. She had the audacity to invite Mia's husband's ex-girlfriend to the party. So she's there being completely rude, disrespectful to Mia. And I'm waiting. I'm like, oh, Mia's going to give it to her. She is really, mm-mm, mm-mm. It didn't happen. Mia let that woman disrespect her to her face, tell her that she shouldn't have even been her daughter in law, that this other girl is who she really wanted to be her daughter in law, seats the girlfriend next to her and Mia's husband, and seats Mia and her sister in law on the far end of the table. Not one time did the husband defend his wife, nor did Mia raise her voice to this woman or anything. And speaking of the voice, one thing that bothered me in this movie was that Kelly was monotone, like she was the same no matter what was happening. That same soft voice, not yelling with anybody, no matter what was happening around her, just kind of, everything's chill. Like it was almost like she had taken a sedative throughout the entire film, right? That's how her voice was. Okay, so let's get back into it. So after that, I was just like, nobody is going to sit there and be insulted. We're talking about Mia, who's supposed to be this criminal defense attorney. She's got it going on, supposed to be tough as nails, smart as a whip, strategic. None of that. None of that. So she ends up getting this case, right, with, let me see the guy's name, Zaire. Zaire, that's who it is, played by Trevante Rhodes. And from all that I've seen of him, he's supposed to be this really sexy man. He's attractive, all of this. So he's the heartthrob in the movie. So he ends up being accused of murdering his girlfriend. Well, he says he didn't do it. But here's the kicker with this, the part that really gets me, is that when Mia meets with Zaire and she's talking to him and she's got her private investigator friend with her, played by Ron Rico. Okay. She's with the investigator and she's with Zaire and they're talking and she's asking him, well, tell me what happened. Did you do it? He's like, I didn't kill her. Okay. So she starts reading the report like, okay, well, it says here, that you guys had this, that you would choke her, that you would do all this stuff and, that you liked it rough. And, he's like, yeah, basically saying, hey, I'm freaky like that, but I didn't kill her. Okay. So then next thing you know, she reveals that, well, the police investigators are saying that you had all this blood in the house, that there was skull matter. So you'd beat her so bad that a part of her skull and a bit of her hair was even caught in a painting. So he's just like, I didn't do it. But here's where it starts getting murky. If all of that DNA was there, where was the body? There was no body. There was literally no body. It was all blood, hair, skull fragments. So I would have loved to have seen something where Zaire says, hey, look, this is what happened when I woke up. She was already dead, and, we go from there. But no, there's like all this circumstantial evidence, but no body. And we don't know what happened? Like, Zaire never tells us what happened. He never tells us how the police got involved, who called the police, who, even did someone hear something happening? Like, what was going on? So let's move forward. He's very close to his trial date. Now, mind you, he's being accused of murder, but he's not in jail. He's out roaming free in his apartment, going to sex parties, doing all this kind of stuff. And he's like weeks away from his trial. Now, what made it implausible to me with Kelly's character, Mea, was that Mea didn't have a paralegal. She didn't have a group, a team of attorneys, nobody researching that way. All she had for research was a private investigator who was a friend of hers and herself. Nobody else working on this case. And they're weeks away. So I would expect her to have no free time, that she's got a mountain of paperwork, that she's got all this stuff to go through. But instead, she's going to his apartment. They're, just talking all just strange, really not revealing anything. It's very shallow conversation. And, there's supposed to be this chemistry developing between them, but it's not obvious because he's just kind of arrogant. And he's just kind of like, yeah, I know you want me like all the women want me. And, and it was like for her, it really was very strange to see that. Well, let's fast forward a little to where she kind of discovers that her husband had gone to a hotel. Like her private investigator friend says, hey, your husband, I saw him, so I guess that was enough to just push her over the edge because at that point, she's like, oh, for real, like revenge is, right there where she's just like, it didn't take much. So she goes back up to the apartment and she sees Zaire getting sexed by this other woman. I mean, slobbing the knob. So Mia's standing there looking, he's looking at her while this other woman's going down on him. The next thing you know, she comes up to him, starts kissing him, all of this. And it's just like, whoa, 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 pump the brakes. Okay. What are we doing here? I mean, bacterial infections, bacterial vaginosis, all this stuff is real. And you're about to just let this man that you clearly saw him with another woman, no requiring to take a shower, brush your teeth, do anything. And you're just going to go in. We didn't see any condoms or anything. Let's just do this, raw dog it. Right, with this man. Okay. So even if we allowed ourselves to go there with that, then it's like all of a sudden she starts discovering things about him that don't add up. Well, he's accused of murder. You don't know what happened and there's no body, but okay, so she goes and interviews one of our favorite villains, the woman that played Veronica in The Have and Have Nots. So she's in this pleasant surprise. Okay, so Veronica is breaking it down. Well, she's not Veronica in the movie, but yeah, we know her as Veronica, and that's who we will call her. So Veronica's breaking it down, telling Mea everything that she herself had experienced, the identical things that he had done with Mea, waking up in the morning to this beautiful painting and of them, and just really raw passion, this chemistry that he really pulls you in. So that's another thing, that sex scene with the paint. Okay, that was art. It was art. Paint all over their bodies, all of this. But what I thought about too was if paint's all over your body, you have to really be scared because what if you get a yeast infection? But that's just me, just thinking. Okay, so let's go back to Veronica. So Veronica's there telling her all of this. And so Mea acts like it's some big shocking revelation. I guess she's supposed to be upset. So she goes running away, like, and she goes running to his apartment and she confronts him, kind of. Not a real confront, not, boom, what's going on here? You trying to play me? None of that. It was just, uh-huh, uh-huh. She's peeling something from the ceiling, seeing pictures that he had drawn of multiple women. When I say multiple women, I mean, it was like she's just peeling it down, peeling it down, peeling it down. There were several. Then she sees the girlfriend, and it's something where he painted in red, like, you ruined my life or something. And she's like, you lied to me. This is not this does not look good for you and all of this. And so he's like, no, it's not what you think. It's not what you think, blah, blah. She recuses herself from being his attorney. And she's like, I will tell them that, something inappropriate happened between us, and I'm off the case. So then I'm like, okay, let's back up here. So if she says that she had an inappropriate relationship with this guy, she will get disbarred and she will face a lot of consequences. So I didn't really get that aspect of it. Like, she didn't think about that before, but okay. So let's get back. Okay, so she's gone. She's upset, all of this. She leaves town, goes to the Dominican Republic. This is where it gets real strange. She's in the Dominican Republic trying to unwind, but mind you, her husband doesn't have money, and she took the case on because she needed money. But she goes on an impromptu trip to the Dominican Republic. Okay, maybe it's cheap. Okay, so let's just go ahead and let's go with that. That it's inexpensive to get there. She's on this resort. All of a sudden, one of the maids that works at the hotel is just walking up, just random. Okay, and she bumps into the maid, and she looks at her, and she's like, "Aren't you?" And the woman's like, "No," and starts running away. A chase ensues. Kelly's running behind her. And this is where it gets funny. This lady sprayed like some of that cleaning spray in Kelly's face, like right in her eyes and everything. And Kelly's like, oh my gosh, she's trying to call the cops and do all this. And finally, she calls her brother-in-law. Her brother-in-law is the epitome of a bottom feeder. He is overly ambitious. He is this guy who only cares about becoming the mayor of the city. So he's willing to do anything to make that happen. And so he's the assistant district attorney, and he was going up against Mea in the case. And this case would have been a big deal for him because if he won, it would have him having a hard stance on crime. And so then it would help him to usher in the mayoral candidacy seat. Okay, so let's go from there. So then when Kelly calls the brother-in-law on the phone, she's like, he needs to be out of jail. Zaire is not guilty. I just saw his girlfriend here. So he tells her, hurry up and get back. So she's like, fine. So next scene, she's back in Chicago. And she's meeting with her sister-in-law, who is also her best friend. Her name's Charlize. She's meeting with her brother-in-law. His name is Ray. Yes, he's the one that's running for mayor. And her mother-in-law is there, Azalea. So while they're there, somehow Mea gets this message or something, and she sees a painting of her best friend, Charlize, and her sister-in-law, of her with Zaire. So she's like trying to play it off. And the strangest thing happens when she's looking at the phone. The mother-in-law acts like she trips and falls, but she doesn't fall. She trips, knocks the phone out of Mia's hand, and then steps on it. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And this is Mea. It's okay. It's okay. Now, come on now. If somebody knocked your phone out of your hand and then stepped on it and smashed your phone to all the pieces, the last thing you're going to say is, it's okay. It's okay. Like it's no big deal. This is your phone. You paid all this money for this phone. It's got all your contacts in this phone. All of this going on. Now you're about to be inconvenienced. And knowing how much we rely on our phones, I was like, there's no way that would have been the reaction. But that was her reaction. Okay. So next thing you know, the brother-in-law is basically trying to reveal some diabolical scheme that the family had come up with. Come to find out, here's the real spoilers. Okay. So if you don't want to listen to this point, I suggest you cut it off at this point. So spoiler alert, the mother-in-law does not have cancer. They made it up so that the son would have a sympathy vote if people thought that his mother had cancer and that he was helping her. Then come to find out that the private investigator friend of Mia's was wrong. Mia's husband was not at the hotel with another woman. It was the entire family. They were there trying to do something because the mom wanted to get out. And so it was everybody. So I don't understand how the PI could have made such a rookie mistake. He's supposed to be so good, so experienced, getting paid all this money, and he couldn't tell that the husband went to the hotel with his mother, his brother, his sister-in-law, and not just some random other woman, which then makes Mia kind of like, okay, she did all this revenge essentially for nothing. But we didn't hear anything about her getting reprimanded, getting disbarred. We didn't hear any of this, right? Nothing, no legal ramifications whatsoever. But let's go back to when we find out that the mother does not have cancer, that it was a ploy. Then we find out that the brother-in-law set the whole thing up. He set the guy up. He set Zaire up because his wife had been sleeping with Zaire. Now, I don't know about how other people are with their best friends, but I can definitely tell you if Mia and Charlize were as close as all of that, at some point Charlize would have mentioned, hey, you taking on this guy's case, whatever, be careful, he's slick, whatever. Even if she says she slept with him herself, or even if she doesn't even want to admit that, she's still, as a friend, you would think she would have warned her, because this is essentially her sister, right? Sister friend, like, sister-in-law and best friend. Okay, so that didn't happen. Ray tells his wife to stab Mia, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So the mother-in-law stabs Charlize, kills her, and Mia is fighting for her life at this point. She's fighting everybody. She runs out, gets in a car, tries to drive away. The mother-in-law is, just on her tail. She's on the hood of the car. And it's the funniest thing. She's riding on the hood of the car looking deranged. And Kelly runs into a tree, knocks the mother-in-law off, and the mother-in-law is supposed to be dead. So at this point, she gets out of the car. She's, walking up the street. Her husband comes. He's driving in the car, and he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And it's the part of the movie where, like in the horror film, when they're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And the person's like, just drive, just, that's what it was giving. But then I said, I know he's got to have something to do with this. At this point, I'm already figuring out, I know the husband has something to do with this. And not to trust him, because he was that, instead of reacting with a sense of urgency, he's acting all, just kind of, what's going on? What's going on? You see your wife running up the street looking, worse for wear, and all your, instead of just driving away, he goes, it's like, get in the car, get in the car. She's like, call 911. So he pretends to call 911, or maybe he did call 911, but he's, it was hard to tell because he got two phone calls. So the first call, he's like, 911, he's telling Kelly, well, Mia, he's telling Mia, tell them what happened. And she says nothing. So he's like, well, something bad happened. Just come on. And that's what he says to 911. So then he gets a phone call and acts like 911 is calling them back, but it's really his brother. So he's driving toward the house. She's like, no, 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 where are you going? Why are you driving toward the house? No. He's like, just calm down. I want to see what happened. What's going on? Drives her to the house. Biggest day. They're in cahoots. All of this, and he's trying to, well, I guess she figures out that, he's lying. And he's driving back toward the house. And while she's like, no, 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 don't drive toward the house, all this, she takes the steering wheel and they veer off the road. He's ejected from the car, and he's supposedly dead. So then the police and everybody actually do show up. So at this point, the mother-in-law's dead, the husband's dead, the brother-in-law is still there, the sister-in-law is dead, and Mia is alive and well. So the brother-in-law gets taken out in handcuffs, all of this, and it's on the news where it's just like, he was accused of planting evidence and all of this. They never told us Like, where did the blood and the skull matter and the hair samples, where did that come from? Like, because when she saw the woman, she was 100% fine, well, and good. Aside from the fact that it was completely unrealistic that she would have just happened to bump into the ex-girlfriend, that's insane. We know that's totally not believable. But then on top of that, we never got that question answered. So if he planted evidence, did he would have had to bribe a lot of people. So he would have had to have bribed someone to, or maybe he knew somebody at the coroner's office or something, maybe he stole some blood and just said, fabricate the results. But it would have had to have been a long string of things, not just him, but also to the ring of people that would have had to have been involved. Like, how much did he pay the girlfriend to go away? And why did she agree to go away? If he was her boyfriend and things were good, why would she agree to set him up like that? Like, okay, so, how much did he pay her? We don't know. Why did she accept? We don't know. And, of all things, so you're going to set this guy up for murder, for sleeping with your wife, so that it'll make you look good, so you can win to be the city's mayor. Okay, well, that takes a lot. A real corruption ring going on. Because, like I said, what other parties were involved? Who came on the crime scene and what police officers were there? Did he pay police officers? Then what about the coroner? Well, there's no body. So, and then how did he get the body out? Like, if, just too many questions. I got way more questions than answers for this, guys. So, yeah, then the end had a really, really strange little twist to it that, okay, so Zaire's out of prison and he thanks Mia for her help in getting him freed. So she's standing somewhere looking amazing, but mysterious. She's, got this nice little coat, got her hair covered, some really stylish sunglasses, just doing the Kelly Rowland thing there. So she walks out, she gets a text message, she looks at her phone, he's thanking her and requesting to see her. So she just takes the phone and throws it in the garbage. She threw her cell phone in the garbage. Now, mind you, the first cell phone got crushed, right? But then she got a cell phone at the end and she throws away the cell phone in the garbage instead of just blocking him. So, yeah, make it make sense. All right. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, I would give this movie a 2. I give it a 2 because Kelly Rowland is just Kelly Rowland. So that's the reason I wanted to watch it because, hey, Kelly is fabulous. We love her. She's gorgeous. The wardrobe was on point. The hair was on point. Makeup flawless. So yeah, Kelly was good there. Visuals, great. That painting, lovemaking scene, very creative, very artistic. I gave that a thumbs up on that particular scene. Just the beauty of the filming. I love, clear, high def shots and everything that was good. So I give it that. But the plot holes and the things that just didn't connect the dots, we never got the dots connected. There were gaps in the story, things that just really didn't make sense. And especially with there being no body and then all this circumstantial evidence. And why would the brother be so desperate to be the mayor when his family is already wealthy anyway, and he's assistant district attorney? He didn't have to go through these diabolical schemes to win for mayor. It really just didn't make sense to have to lie that his mother had cancer, and then what was going to happen? She was going to miraculously go into remission. Did they have to pay a doctor to fabricate these results? I mean, there's just so much going on, and in addition to that, it's just a lot. And with Mia being an attorney, did he really think he was going to be able to kill her? Just kill her. How's he going to explain this? So just things that didn't make sense. And how was she going to live after? Like, how did it affect her to lose her license if she did, which is what would have happened, that she can't practice? What else? We didn't see any kind of emotions there. And the fact that she was so monotone, like she literally kept the same voice throughout probably 98% of the film, the same voice and no real reactions and no, definitely not realistic reactions. Okay, especially being disrespected by your mother-in-law. Regardless, you would want to square up, right? Either your husband has to defend you or you're defending yourself. But either way, if he doesn't say anything to check her, then you already know that it's not going to be a good day, right, for him. So that's what I say. Leave your comments and let me know what you think. Did you see the film? And if you did, what are your thoughts?